I know I'm interested to see what Brother Kazak got in store for us. So
It's not what I have in store, it's what the Spirit has in store. Because that's what I'm going by tonight on the Spirit. Nothing prepared. Going on the Spirit tonight. All right. But there were some questions that I was getting at yeah, okay, there it was. It showed up, just popped up. So YouTube is live. There were some questions that I was getting from people at work that I invited to the call, and through casual conversation about Jacob and Esau. So I wanted to touch on a few things about Jacob and Esau that a lot of people that's coming out of the Christian church that's new to this understanding may not know. Now, some of you on the call may know this information that I'm about to go into, but for some that's on this call, it will be new information to you. So let's start in prayer. All right. Ladies, if your heads are uncovered, please cover your heads. Men, if your heads are covered, please uncover them. Let's face the east. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we come before you on tonight, Father, asking that your Spirit is poured upon this lesson, Father, and that you lead and guide me, Heavenly Father, as I give your word out, Heavenly Father. I hope it's edifying to each and every person that hears it, Heavenly Father, and that the seed is planted deeply and that it bears fruit, Heavenly Father, that will feed a nation, Father. Father, I pray that my wife, Heavenly Father, is covered, Heavenly Father, and that you give her the ability to read with power and edify power with power, Heavenly Father. Father, I pray that each and every person on this call tonight would be blessed by your words that you have prepared for them, Heavenly Father. Father, in the name of Yeshua, this is how we pray. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
holy be your name.
Ahaya. Your kingdom come.
Your kingdom come.
Your will be done.
Your will be done
in earth as it is in heaven.
As it is in heaven.
Give us today.
Give us this day
our daily bread.
Our daily bread.
And forgive us our debts.
Forgive us our debts.
As we forgive our debtors.
Forgive our debtors.
And lead us not.
Lead us not
into temptation.
Into temptation.
But deliver us. From evil.
From evil.
For thine is the kingdom.
But to you is the kingdom.
And the power.
The power.
And the glory.
And the glory.
Now and forever.
Now and forever.
Amen.
Amen.
All right, let's do the Shemai.
Okay.
Shemai Yasharala Ahaya.
Shemai Yasharala Ahaya.
Alahaya Nawa.
Alahaya Nawa.
Ahaya Akkad.
Ahaya Akkad.
Shemai Yasharala Ahaya.
Shemai Yasharala Ahaya.
Alahaya Nawa.
Alahaya Nawa.
Ahaya Akkad.
Ahaya Akkad.
Shemai Yasharala Ahaya.
Shemai Yasharala Ahaya.
Alahaya Nawa.
Alahaya Nawa.
Ahaya Akkad.
Ahaya Akkad.
Hear, O Israel.
Hear, O Israel.
Ahaya.
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 Our power.
Our power
is one.
Is one.
Kwam Yasharala.
Kwam Yasharala.
Let's get it started. So, like I was saying, we're going to touch on a few points. Sorry, babe. Get you in there. I'm sorry about that.
Yes. Well, I don't need to be in it, but I figured they'd like to have us both.
Let me slide over. Come on.
No,
over.
It's okay.
Come on over.
Just not too much there. There we go.
All right. So I was getting questions this week from a few individuals, and it was on the same subject about Jacob and Esau. So I want to touch on that first about Jacob and Esau. I'm going to go into the book of Genesis, chapter 25, and I'm also going into Jasher, the book of Jasher, chapter 27 in the book of Jasher. So could you type it in for me, babe? I'll get it on here.
I'll get it. You just read if you're ready. So
Genesis 25.
Mm-hmm. You know what?
What we got here? Genesis
24 through
24 through
34.
34.
Okay.
And we're also going to the book of Jasher, starting at chapter 27. So we're going to read to, we're going to start off in the book of Genesis.
What's the chapters?
27. We're going to start at verse 1. I'm going to read all the way through it to verse 15.
Okay.
No, 17. So we're trying to multitask here. All right. Babe, if you would, let's go to Genesis chapter 25.
Okay. I'm here. And so Genesis chapter 25, verses 24 through 34.
Con.
And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red all over like an hairy garment. And they called his name Esau.
Now, this was Esau. This was the first time that a distinction has been made in a birth. Up until this point, everyone was the same color. Esau was the first of his kind. Read.
And after that came his brother, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them.
Now, as you see, Jacob, there was no description given of him because he looked just like everyone else. Esau was red like a hairy garment. And when you look at today, just around us today, when we look at Esau, we see this exact description. They are red and they are very hairy. So the world will tell you that, oh, we don't know who Esau is. He just disappeared. Esau is all around you. So hold on, we have the little one here. That's
Go ahead, babe. I'll be back.
all right.
Just ask the Wayne in the aisle.
Hey, bro, you got me?
Yeah, you heard me?
Oh, no, go ahead. I hear you now.
Oh, okay, all right. We at 24,
No, pick up at verse 26.
26. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them.
Read.
And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field.
All right, hold.
Jacob was a man.
Oh, I want you all to remember that Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field. All right, read on.
And Jacob was a plain man, dwelling in tents.
Remember that also, that Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. Go ahead.
And Isaac loved Esau because he did eat of his venison, but Rebekah loved Jacob.
Isaac loved Esau because Esau put food on the table. Rebekah loved Jacob because Jacob cooked the food. Jacob was a good cook. He took care of the house. This is what we are to do. Take care of our house. Read, brother.
And Jacob and he was faint. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom.
Okay. Now it says, and Jacob saw pottage. So Jacob was cooking. And Esau came from the field, and he was faint. Why was Esau faint? The Bible does not give you a clear understanding of what took place from the time Jacob left the field to the time he made it to, from the time Esau left the field to the time that he made it to Jacob. The Bible doesn't give you what went on between that time. So, but we're going to go into the book of Jasher that does disclose what actually took place. It says, and Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom. Read, brother.
And Jacob said, sell me this day thy birthright.
Okay, and Jacob said, sell me this day thy birthright. Remember that. Go ahead.
And Esau said, behold, I am at the point to die, and what profit shall this birthright do to me?
Now Esau said, behold, I am at the point to die. Why was he at the point to die? Was it that he was so tired from hunting that he was at the point to die? We're going to find out in the book of Jasher exactly what took place. He says, what profit shall this birthright do to me? He despised his birthright. Read on, brother.
And Jacob sware to me this day, and he sware unto him, and he sold his birthright unto Jacob.
Okay. Read.
Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of
lentils,
and drank and rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright.
Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage and lentils, and he did eat and drink and rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. This was all part of the Most High's plan. And the book of Jasher is going to make it plain. You have the book of Jasher, Ahab?
Yeah.
Chapter 20, chapter 27. Let's start at verse 1.
All right. Chapter 27, verse 1 in Jasher. And Esau at that time, after the death of Abraham, frequently went in the field to hunt.
Okay, hold on. It said Esau at that time, after the death of Abraham, he frequently went into the field to hunt. Read.
And Nimrod, king of Babel, the same was Amraphel, also frequently went with his mighty men to hunt in the field and to walk about with his men in the cool of the day.
All right. It says, now Nimrod, king of Babel. What was Nimrod known for? What was his title? He was a mighty hunter. What was Esau known for? He was a mighty hunter also. So two hunters in the same field. Let's read.
And Nimrod was observing Esau.
Nimrod was observing Esau.
All the days, for jealousy was formed in the heart of Nimrod against Esau all the days.
Jealousy was formed in the heart of Nimrod against Esau all the days that he was watching Esau in the field. The very thing that Nimrod was known for, Jacob was taking over. Go ahead, brother.
And it was Esau.
Yeah, Esau. Yes, Slakia. Esau was taking over.
And on a certain day, Esau went in the field to hunt, and he found Nimrod walking in the wilderness with his two men. And all his mighty men and his people were with him in the wilderness. But they removed at a distance from him, and they went from him in different directions to hunt. And Esau concealed himself for Nimrod, he lurked for him in the wilderness.
It said Esau concealed himself. As Nimrod's men separated and with their certain ways hunting, Esau was watching them, and Esau concealed himself. Go ahead.
And Nimrod and his men that were with him did not know him. And Nimrod and his men frequently walked about in the field at the cool of the day, and to know where his men were hunting in the field. And Nimrod and two of his men that were with him came to the place where they were, when Esau started suddenly from his lurking place, and drew his sword, and hastened and ran to Nimrod and cut off his head.
It says, and Nimrod and two of his men that were with him came to the place where they were, when Esau started suddenly from his lurking place. Esau was hid. And then when Nimrod got near, close enough for him to strike, he started off suddenly from his lurking place and drew his sword and hastened and ran to Nimrod and cut off his head. Esau was the one who killed Nimrod, the mighty hunter, and took the title as the mightiest hunter. Read, brother.
And Esau fought a desperate fight with the two men that were with Nimrod. And when they called out to him, Esau turned to them and smote them to death with his sword.
Now, it says Esau fought a desperate fight with them that were with Nimrod. Now, when Esau made it to Jacob, he was tired, faint, at the point of death. This is why he was so tired and fainting at the point of death. Read on.
And all the mighty men of Nimrod who had left him to go to the wilderness heard the cry at a distance. And they knew the voices of those two men. And they ran to know the cause of it. When they found near the king and the two men that were with him lying dead in the wilderness.
Nimrod killed the king and his two men by himself. He killed the king and his two men, showing how mighty Nimrod was. How mighty Esau was in battle. Esau is a mighty warrior. So he is one that should not be taken lightly. Even with us, we should not take him lightly. Read, brother.
And when Esau saw the mighty men of Nimrod coming at a distance, he fled and thereby escaped. And Esau took the valuable garments of Nimrod.
Hold right there. Hold right there. It said, and Esau, well, first I want to go back and say that he saw the mighty men coming and he fled. So he was running for his life. So by the time he made it to where he was going, he was tired. He was running for his life. But look at what he did. He took the valuable garments of Nimrod, which Nimrod's father had bequeathed to Nimrod. What were these garments? What were these garments that that Esau took from Nimrod? Close the door. It was when after the flood and the flood settled and the ark of the covenant, the ark settled on top of Mount Ararat, and they were able to come off the ark. I had a brain for Noah. Noah had the clothes that the Most High made, the skins that the Most High made for Adam and Eve. He had those clothes. He had those skins that the Most High made with his hands for them. And those clothes were endowed with power. It was these garments that Ham took off the boat, stole them from his father, and gave them to his son, which was passed down to Nimrod. These clothes, these are the garments that made Nimrod a mighty hunter. Read.
And Esau took the valuable garments of Nimrod, which Nimrod's father had bequeathed to Nimrod, and with which Nimrod prevailed over the whole land. And he ran and concealed them to his house.
Now, did you hear what it said? Go back and read it again, brother.
And Esau took the valuable garments of Nimrod, which Nimrod's father had bequeathed to Nimrod, and with which Nimrod prevailed over the whole land.
It says it was because of these valuable garments that Nimrod was able to prevail over the whole land. Because the Most High touched these garments, and there was power in these garments. Nimrod was able to take over the whole land just from wearing these garments. And Esau possesses these garments today. Esau possesses these very garments today. Read.
Verse 11. And Esau took those garments and ran into the city on account of Nimrod's man. And he came into his father's house, wearied and exhausted from fighting. And he was ready to die through grief when he approached his brother Jacob and sat before him.
Now, it tells you now, it's at the point in Genesis where Genesis picks up. It says that Esau was wearied and exhausted from fight, and he was ready to die through the grief when he approached his brother Jacob and sat before him. Now, Nimrod was running for his life. Esau was running for his life. He was fighting. He escaped, and he finally made it to his house, his father's house. Now he makes it to his brother who is sodding the pottage. And this is what we pick up at. Read.
Verse 12. And he said unto his brother Jacob, Behold, I shall die this day, and wherefore then do I want the birthright?
He said, and behold, I shall die this day, and wherefore then do I want this birthright? Now he said he would die this day. Now in Genesis, it doesn't give you this information of why he was at to the point of death. Nimrod's men was after him, and he thought that he was going to die that day. If they would have caught him, he would have been dead. Read.
And Jacob acted wisely with Esau in this matter. And Esau sold his birthright to Jacob, for it was so brought about by the Lord.
So the Most High had his hand in this. The whole ordeal, the Most High had his hand in. He was orchestrating the whole thing. Now it says that it was done, it was brought about by the Lord. So everything that transpired prior to that all linked back to their mother praying to the Most High, asking, why is she in so much pain? And Most High revealed to her that she has two nations within her, and that the elder shall serve the younger. Now, the birthright was always given to the elder, but the elder shall serve the younger in this case. And how was this going to take place? The Most High had to do it. He had to put his hand in the midst and intervene to make it happen. Read, brother.
And Esau's portion in the king of the field of Machpelah, which Abraham had bought from the children of Heth for the possession of a burial ground. Esau also sold to Jacob, and Jacob bought all this from his brother Esau for value given.
Now, not only did Esau sell his birthright, but he sold his place of burial and everything that his father had given to him. His father had spent valuable money on this place for him to be buried at his death, but he sold everything. This is why the Most High said he despised his birthright. He sold everything. Read.
And Jacob wrote the whole of this in a book, and he testified the same with witnesses, and he sealed it, and the book remained in the hands of Jacob.
So, and Jacob wrote the whole of this in a book, and he testified the same with witnesses. So Jacob wrote everything down, and he had witnesses to sign it also. So Jacob has this book, and it says that the book remained in Jacob's hand. So where's the book now? Is the question. Where's that book? We have a testimony of it right here. Read.
And when Nimrod, the son of Cush, died, his men lifted him up and brought him into consternation and buried him in the city. And all the days that Nimrod lived were 215 years, and he died.
He lived 215 years. Go ahead.
And the days that Nimrod reigned upon the people of the land were 185 years. And Nimrod died by the sword of Esau in shame and contempt. And the seed of Abraham caused his death, as he had seen in his dream.
Now, Nimrod reigned over his people, reigned over the people 185 years. That's a long time. 185 years he reigned over his people. And how was he able to do this for 185 years? It goes right back to those garments that Adam wore, that the Most High made for Adam after the sin. The Most High made those garments for him. They had power endowed in them. And when Nimrod put them on, it gave him the power of a mighty hunter. He was able to take over the whole world by possessing these garments. Read, brother. Oh, that's it.
No. One more verse.
Go ahead.
17. Verse 17. And at the death of Nimrod, his kingdom became divided into mixed, and all those parts that Nimrod reigned over were restored to the respective kings of the land, who recovered them after the death of Nimrod, and all the people of the house of Nimrod were for a long time enslaved to all other kings of the land.
Now, it says, who recovered them after the death of Nimrod, and all the people of the house of Nimrod for a long time, they were enslaved to the other kings of the land. Nimrod was a tyrant. So he oppressed all the other kings around him. So when they had the opportunity to get back at the house of Nimrod, oh, they did. They got back at them. They enslaved all of them. Oh, okay. All right. Go in the room. Okay. Now, this should have answered the questions that I was getting from the gentleman at work. And if you're online, I hope that this answered your question. If you're there, you can let me know. This is what happened. This is why the story did not seem right in Genesis to you. When you were reading it, you said it just didn't flow right with you. And this is why, because this information was not given in Genesis of what took place, what led Esau to sell his birthright. He thought he had something more valuable than his birthright, which were those garments that he owned, that he possessed. He thought those were more valuable than his birthright. And he sold his birthright because he possessed those garments. This is the reason. This is the reason that he sold his birthright. The Most High prophesied that it would take place, that the elder would serve the younger. But Esau had to give himself an upper hand on this. So he had to get those very garments that gave Nimrod the power to rule for 185 years. He thought if he possessed those garments, he could do the same. And the prophecy of him serving the younger wouldn't have to take place. This is why when their father was dying and Esau was crying out for a blessing. He told him that he would live by the sword. He possessed those garments. He would live by the sword. He will be that hunter all his life, fighting, conquering, taking over, stealing, killing, robbing. Whatever he decided to do is what he did. Now, I pray that this brought clarity to those two young men that were questioning me. I pray that it brought clarity to you, and I pray that what the Most High revealed here has opened your eyes up to the Bible being the true book of the Most High, and that it does flow and it doesn't contradict itself. The Bible spoke of other books. These are some of those books: the book of Enoch, the book of Jubilees, and the book of Jasher. These are some of those books that help this King James Bible flow perfectly. Some things that you may have questions about, you may be asking yourself about, you can get them right through here, or you can get them through the Apocrypha. It helps the Bible flow flawlessly. This is why the Apocrypha was added to the original 1611 King James Bible. It was there because it flows perfectly in concession. There's no contradictions at all. Anything that you may have a contradiction about, it helps clear it up. All right, so we're going to go into a few more verses here, not dealing with the subject of Nimrod. Okay, I've gone over that. I've done that. We're going to go into a few verses on self-control. This is something else that I've been asked about. Self-control. How do you conquer this flesh? How can you overcome the temptations that are thrown at you daily? Well, we're going to go into a few verses about self-control. Ahab, are you ready?
Yeah, I need the verse. Oh, what verse?
Give me 1 Thessalonians chapter 5.
First Thessalonians chapter 5.
And read verse 6 for me.
1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 6. Therefore, let us not sleep as do others, but let us watch and be sober.
So it says,
For they that,
go ahead.
verse 7. For they that sleep in the night, and they that be drunken are drunken in the night.
It says, therefore, let us not sleep as do others, but let us watch and be sober. We have to watch for the attacks of the enemy. The enemy is very cunning. He sneaks in and you'll be under attack and you won't even know it. You won't even know it, that you're under attack until it's too late. So we have to be mindful of the subtle changes in our spirit, our countenance. We have to be mindful of how we feel daily, how we react to situations daily. We know what our weaknesses are. We know where we're strong. We know where we're weak. We know if we put into a situation that's gonna attack one of our weak points, then the Most High gives us a way out of it, and we need to take that way out. It says, let us watch and be sober. Be sober, have a clear mind. Have a clear mind and not be drunk, and not be drugged out. But you have to have a clear mind, temple clean, in order for this transformation to take place, for you to deal with the attack of the enemy. All right, brother, give me Titus chapter 2.
Titus chapter 2.
Start at verses 11 and 12.
Titus chapter 2, verse 11. For the grace of God that bringeth salvation hath appeared to all men. 12. Teaching us that denying ungodliness and worldly lust, we should live soberly, righteously, and godly in this present world.
It says, for the grace of God that bringeth salvation. It's the grace of God that brings salvation. Hath appeared to all men. The grace of God has appeared to all men, teaching us what? That denying ungodliness and worldly lust, we should live soberly, righteously, and godly in this present world. This is how we should live. We should live soberly, righteously, and godly. How can we do that? First, we have to deny ungodliness and worldly lust. And you'll be able to live soberly, righteously, and godly in this present world. Let me give you a precept on that. Give me Romans chapter 12, brother, and read verse 2.
Romans 12:2.
Yes. Hold on.
And be not.
Hold on.
All right.
All right, read.
Romans chapter 12, verse 2. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God.
It says, and be not conformed to this world. To what world? It goes back to Titus 2 and 11. It's talking about this present world. This world is this present world. It says, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. What is that good, acceptable, and perfect will of God? That you live, back to Titus chapter 2, verse 11 through 12. His will is that you live soberly, righteously, and godly in this life, in this present world. That is his good, acceptable, and perfect will, that you live soberly, righteously, and godly in this present world. Are you able to do that? Yes. How do I know? Because I read about an example that did it right here. Yeshua. He lived a sober, righteous, and godly life. He was our example. If he could do it, then we can do it. He said he sent us a helper. What is that helper? The Ruach, which will lead us and guide us in this walk. If we just allow her to do her perfect will in our life. And what is our perfect will? Our perfect will is the will of God. Okay, give me Job 31 and verse 1, brother.
Job 31, verse 1.
Job 31, verse 1.
Job 31, verse 1. I made a covenant with mine eyes. Why then should I think upon a maid?
He said, I made a covenant with mine eyes. Why then should I think upon a maid? That's a powerful statement that Job made there. I can see why Ahiah asked Satan, have you considered my servant Job? He was an upright man in all the earth. I can see why he said that, because this is a powerful statement. He said, I made a covenant with my eyes. Why then should I look upon a maid or another lady? Why then should I look upon a young lady? Because I made a covenant with my eyes. This is what we all need to do. Men, we are the flock of the Most High. The flock of the Most High are the men. We are those men who need to make covenants with our eyes. Why then should we look upon a young lady in a lustful way? When we look upon them, we should see them as a sister, or as a sister. These are our sisters, especially if you're married. Why then should we look upon a maid? I made a covenant with mine eyes. How do you do this? How do you make a covenant with your eyes? Why then should I look upon a maid? You have to keep these laws, statutes, and commandments. You have to be firmly rooted in what the Most High says and what His Word says. You have to, if you are tempted, you have to realize that the Most High does not push you past your breaking point, and He does give you a way out. You just have to accept it and get out of there. You have to make that covenant with your eyes. Pray for the Most High to give you strength in that area that you're weak in. If you are weak when it comes to young ladies, then you need to make that covenant with your eyes. Ask the Most High to give you strength and strengthen you in that area, so that you can say, why then should I think upon a maid? Because when I see her, I see my sister. This is how you make that covenant with your eyes. It's a constant work. It doesn't happen overnight. Anything worth having is worth working for. Salvation, your eternal salvation, is worth working for. Make that covenant with your eyes. Keep those law, statutes, and commandments. Give me just a second. Give me 1 Corinthians, brother, chapter 9, verse 27.
1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 27.
Con.
But I keep under my body and bring it into subjection, lest that by any means, and when I have preached to others, I myself shall be cast away.
But I keep under my body and bring it into subjection, lest that by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself should be a castaway. And what is he saying when he says, but I keep under my body? That means he subdues this flesh daily. He knows what his temptations are. He knows what his weaknesses are, and he subdues that daily. How do you do it? You do it through prayer, through fasting. This is the only way you can overcome these worldly thoughts, these worldly temptations. This is the only way you can overcome them, through prayer and fasting. This is what he had to do daily. But I keep under my body and bring it into subjection. He has to bring it into subjection of that perfect will of the Most High, that good, acceptable, and perfect will to be sober, righteous, and godly. You have to bring this flesh into that point. Lest that by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself should be a castaway. He says, lest by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself shall be a castaway. Remember, the word of the Most High is a double-edged sword. It's a two-edged sword. It cuts going and cuts coming. So if I'm preaching to you about the plank in your eye, and I have a mote in mine, then what good am I? What good is my preaching to you? It's only condemning myself. So before I come to you, I need to make sure that I have my slate clean. I need to make sure I've gone before the Most High. I've laid out everything before Him, and that when I appear before you, I appear before you empty and ready to do the Most High's work, to do His good, acceptable, and perfect will, to be sober, righteous, and godly before you. This is the mindset that I have to put myself in, that you should put yourself in before we come before anyone. One second. Okay. I'm sorry about that, Salaki. I'm back. Okay, sorry. All right. Give me James chapter 1, verse 19.
James chapter 1, verse 19.
Read.
Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath.
It says, wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath. You have to be swift to hear what is being spoken to you, if it's coming to you godly, if it's a godly word coming to you. Your spirit has to be mature enough to receive what's coming to you, because what you're hearing may not be what you want to hear. But you need to be able to accept the words that the Most High is putting before you. You need to be slow to speak and slow to wrath. That means listen until the person is done. Don't get angry if it's not what you want it to be. If you don't think that it's what, if you think it does not apply to you, don't be angry, because apparently from the outside looking in, it's applying somewhere. So you need to go to the Most High and pray and ask for the Most High to show you how this applies to your life. And the Most High will reveal it to you. He will reveal to you, this is how you subdue this flesh. Other people see things about you that you may not be able to see for yourself. It's called familiar spirits. You're so familiar with it that you think it's normal, but other people see it, and they are able to speak to you on the level that the Most High sent them to you to speak on. And a lot of times we're retaliate against them. We're not slow to speak. We're speaking constantly. We're not slow to wrath. We blow up immediately. So these are things that we need to work on to subdue this flesh. If we can't work on these simple things, then the flesh is going to rule us constantly, and it's going to lead us straight to hell. Give me Galatians chapter 5, brother.
Galatians 5.
22 through 23.
Galatians 5, verses 22 to 23. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law.
But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law. This goes hand in hand with being swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath. Because we have to operate in these gifts in order to do this. If we can't operate in the spirit of love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance, then there's no way we're going to be able to be slow to speak or slow to wrath. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. If you can't operate in these fruits of the spirit, then being slow to speak and slow to wrath when someone's bringing correction to you is not going to happen. You're going to blow up immediately. You're not going to give this person time to finish. You're going to blow up and retaliate, not knowing the outcome of what was going to be said. It's going to be an attack from Jump Street. We have to learn to operate in these fruits of the spirit: love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law. There's no law against these. If you're operating in those, you're above the law. There is no law that can hold you down. Brother, give me 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13.
1 Corinthians 10, verse 13. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13.
Read.
There have no temptation taken, but so is common to man.
There hath no temptation taken you, but such that is common to man. There is nothing new under the sun. Anything that you were being tempted with today, our forefathers were tempted with then. There's nothing new under the sun. Read, brother.
I lost my place.
All right. But God is faithful.
Oh, but God is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that ye are able.
The Most High will not tempt you past your breaking point. He will not push you beyond your level. He knows who you are. He knows what your temptations are. He knows how far you can stand strong. And he's not going to push you past that point. Read.
But will the temptation also make a way to escape, that ye may be able to bear it?
But will, with the temptation, also make a way to escape, that ye may be able to bear it. The Most High will give you a way out. He will give you the strength to take whatever is tempting you. Us accepting that way out is a different story. I know I'm not the only one who has been tempted, saw the way out, and decided to stay. I know I'm not the only one that's done that. There were times in the past where the temptation would be, I see the temptation coming toward me. I see my way out, but I allow my feet to stand firm. It's because then my eternal salvation wasn't important to me. It was not important to me at all. Me being able to operate in self-control was nowhere near the discussion. It wasn't even on the table. Self-control was not even in my vocabulary then. I'm sure I'm not the only one that has operated like this. But if you have, then you know you can look back and you see where your weaknesses were then. And you know where you need your exercise to build up, to strengthen up in your areas now. You know what your temptation is. You know what makes you fall weak. You know what your strengths are. So we need to work with these and bring them into balance. We can't be super strong on the right side and so weak and feeble on the left side that we're not able to do anything. We have to kind of balance that out because we need both sides of the body to operate. So with that, I'm going to give a few more verses because I really need to get in here and help my wife out with the kids. I'm going to give a few more verses and I'm going to bid you adieu. All right, brother. Give me 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7. No. Take that back. Give me Proverbs 16:32.
Proverbs 16:32.
Proverbs 16:32.
Proverbs 16:32. He that is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he that ruleth his spirit than he taketh the city.
He that is slow to anger is better than the mighty. If you are slow to anger, the Most High says you are better than the mighty because you keep a calm head. You keep a calm head, and the Most High is able to deal with you. Once anger takes place, your anger, there's a righteous anger, and then there's your anger. Once your anger takes place, then the Most High can't deal with you because you're not thinking logically. So he that is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he that ruleth his spirit than he that taketh the city. You could be mighty and go into a city and take it and get all the accolades that a man could get for being mighty enough to go into a city and ramshack it and take it. But the Most High says he that is slow to anger is even mightier than that man. He is mightier than that man that took the whole city. Self-control. The Most High views it in a mighty way. In a mighty way. It has nothing to do with your physical strength. It's all about a spiritual exercise. We need to be stronger spiritually. I remember saying this in one of our lessons, that we need to be stronger spiritually than we are physically. Because if you're strong physically, physical exercise, physical strength avails nothing, little. But if you have a strong spiritual life, you can move mountains. With a strong spiritual life, there are no limits. You can speak and it would happen. But if you are dealing with the flesh and your flesh is winning the battle, then you're going to get exactly what the flesh is giving you. And that's going to be hell. All right, I'm going to give you one more verse. And I'm going to bid you adieu. 2 Timothy 1:7, brother.
2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7.
Uh-huh.
For higher has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, and of love, and of a sound mind.
It says, for higher has not given us the spirit of fear. We were not given the spirit of fear. So nothing that this world puts before us should make us afraid, because we know the God that we serve. We can read this testimonies that he left, that he gave in the Bible, and we can see how he delivered our ancestors through whatever temptation, whatever trial they were facing. He delivered them through it. This is the same power, love, and sound mind that the Most High has placed within us. We have to have the faith to know that this flesh is simply that, flesh. But we are spirit. We are spirit filled. This flesh is just a housing for that spirit. And we need to realize that what's inside is greater than what's on the outside. What's outside, the world views. What's in the world views with worldly eyes. But what's inside, the spirit on the inside can only be viewed by those who are those who are like-minded, who can view you and see you and know who you are, has that discerning spirit that knows the struggles that this flesh goes through and the importance of subduing it and operating in self-control. When you meet people and you can see the way that they operate in their lives, you see the spirit that they operate in, you know, all right, this is a person here who's operating in self-control. Slow to anger. Don't get angry easily. It takes a lot to push this person to anger. Slow to speak. Listen to anything you have to say. Quick to hear. Swift to hear. He'll sit there and listen. And then he'll speak. And he'll give you profound words that the Most High has placed within him to give to you. Or she. Not just he, she also. So, with that, we're going to pray out. And I'm going to ask Ahab. Will you lead us in prayer?
More gracious and high, we thank you for this gathering, Father, for all that you've given us today. We thank you for the word. We thank you for the ears that we're able to hear, Father. We ask and pray, Father, that we take this word and we carry it out throughout our lives daily, dear Lord, in every moment. We want to thank you for all your blessings and for what you've given us. In Yeshua's name, amen.
Amen. Shemai.
Shemai.
Yasharala.
Yasharala.
Ahaya.
Ahaya.
Alahaya Nawa.
Alahaya now.
Ahaya.
Ahaya.
Akkad.
God.
Hero Israel.
Hero Israel.
Ahaya.
Ahaya.
Our power
Our power
is one.
is one.
All right, family. Sorry for the lesson. It has to be so short, and I know I was kind of all over the place with it. But picking up next week.
No food.
Khan, thanks, brother. But picking up next week, we're gonna go back into our more uniform classes and get everything together. Right now, I have to get in here with my wife and help take care of the little ones that are sick. I can hear them in there whining. So I know they need some daddy time and some prayer time. So with that, I'm going to say shalom, peace and love, and sin not. Love you.